It's a little bit cold in here. I hope I can survive this. But I'd rather have this better than being outside because we are in Texas and it's very hot. It's very hot. Okay, so this is a good day. It's a Thursday evening. Um, Hope everybody's doing well. Everybody's being safe. The way things are going right now in the world are very, very concerning. It's just like there's this rush for adventure. It could be good, a good adventure. It could be a bad adventure. And I strongly believe things have always been the way they are throughout the decades, throughout the years. Nothing really has changed from different perspectives. Now, we are in an era right now where technology has a spike. And I know a lot of people might say, same conversation, everybody talks about it, social media. But it's very concerning. I used to always listen. I'm as somebody who's in technology, who's in IT, who likes a lot of those, AI, anything that's computer related or technology related, I should say. I used to always ignore it. I used to just think, it's just naysayers, people just coming in, or like people say, older people, elderly, just to understand how things move, how things work. But like with anything else, as I grow up, as I learn, as I just look at the way the world is moving, I'm starting to realize that we do have a problem. We do have a problem. So now, do I think everything's gonna shut down, or is the world, are we gonna get raw? Most people say when AI comes in, we might have some machines or some robots just destroying things like we're watching the Terminator and things like that. I don't think we'll get to that. At least not anybody in my generation right now, or whose eyes are open right now, will get to see that if that were to happen. But again, not talking conspiracies or anything like that. You never know. So anyway, I say this to say that the reason I started this episode by discussing the way technology is changing things and the way things are moving is because it always goes back to the same conversation that everybody's having about mental health. So when I sit down and reflect and try and just hear all these news like almost every day, especially in my culture, in my race, African Americans, in the rap and music, there's just a lot of deaths going on at a very young age. Like I said, this stuff has always been happening. I mean, I grew up listening back to, Tupac. We can say Tupac, Biggie, all those rappers died of violence, and that was back in what, 96, 97. So nothing has changed. I mean, for the better. I will not be positive here. So a lot of things have changed, I should say. However, this whole narrative of rap always being mixed with violence is very, very concerning. I won't go into details because I'm not a hip hop show. I'm not, but I was, and I don't want to, put that to the universe because that's not what this show does. So I'm not trying to use names. I'm not going to talk about anything, but I just been hearing a lot of hip hop artists dying. And the sad thing about it, it's we killing each other. We're the only race that I mean, I can't speak for any other countries or any other environments, but we're the only race that we do stuff like this at a very high rate on a daily basis. And it's sad because somebody like me, if I see something on the news or hear something on the TV, my favorite rapper got injured, got shot at, or my favorite singer, it doesn't even have to be a rapper, um, something happened to them, it bothers me. It would bother me, at least, consciously. It would make me think and be worried and try to figure out if I, even let's say I was in the same industry or I was in the same lane, it would make me want to move differently. But it almost seems like people are fearless these days. There's no emotion. We just lost emotion. So all this stuff that I mentioned, I feel like is interconnected. That's why I talked about technology. That's why I talked about because I'm in the middle. We could say I'm a millennial, late millennials. So I mean, I'm halfway in, halfway out. So there's certain things I understand, certain things I don't understand. There's certain things I'm in the middle. I can probably do TikTok. There's the people in my age that don't understand TikTok. There's people, a little bit older than me that would never look at TikTok that way. And I bash it too every now and then. But I just feel like that's where the nemesis of all these problems are arising from. Think our brains are just so occupied right now. So there's drugs, obviously. I mean, some of these things I'm hearing people are doing. Growing up, when I used to hear people do something like, even smoke marijuana. To me, in my country, my culture, that was big. That was very. When I was in school and I heard that this and that, this guy, this kid, you get caught smoking, marijuana or doing anything of that nature. Even I can say cigarettes. And maybe I'm just aged. Things change. Not trying to guilt anybody. I've done it too. I'm human, but when I stop doing this stuff, like everything else, you start to understand. You start to see it from a different perspective. You start to think, what was causing me to do that, to smoke? And there's nothing wrong with doing, drinking alcohol, marijuana. The brain needs stimulation every now and then. I'm speaking for myself, and just trying to interject everything and connect everything to see where the big problem is. Something starts from point A and goes to point B and goes to point C, goes to point D. So I'm speaking in my own perspective, like everybody else can speak in their own perspective. I have friends who smoke. I don't judge them. I don't look at them any different. But my whole point about this giving marijuana, I was just saying, in this day and time, it's been of course proved, tested that it doesn't. It's probably not. It's still, lawfully. Of course, it's a drug. It's a Schedule A, Schedule C. I don't even know the different ratings of drugs. Anyway, but something like that. Going back to my point, I don't want to sidetrack and talk about marijuana. Something like that was so big where I'm from. Like, oh my gosh, my friend got caught smoking weed. This is big, and my parents would be scared. I can't even tell my parents about it. So. By me saying that, I'm just saying, to me, that was big. When I was growing up, even up to this day, even when I tried, or when I, experimented, when I started, when I even did smoke, it was a big hurdle for me. But now, when I hear all these other drugs that people are doing, it's beyond me. And if there's anything I could do to help, I wish I can. Like I said, it's not a judgmental thing. It's more of a concern. It's more of a reach out to see, because I understand it. I get stressed. I get depressed. And when you do things, your brain just acts. You don't sit there and just say, oh, I'm not doing this, because it takes a very special talent, intelligence, discipline not to engage in certain things, because everything is out there now. When you're in that position, like I say, somebody who's been around friends and stuff, I can imagine. They're just having fun. Who wants to sit there and think, okay, I shouldn't go out and go crazy and try, maybe, I don't know what the drugs are there, maybe party, drugs, or whatever, when you're with a group of people who are doing it too. It's hard to say no. It's hard to say no. Am I condoning it? Of course not. But I'm really concerned where the world is going. So my point is that only other than drugs, there's something else that's stimulating our brains in the wrong direction. And I feel like without the knowledge, without the education and the extensive research on this, I do feel like social media is playing a big part. Why? Because me, as an adult, is somebody who's older. I get affected by it too. In many different ways that I never thought I would understand. In many different ways that I can't see that it's happening to me right now. And the mental thing, the mental health, the mental issues that are going on in the world right now, I think most of it is done by social media. It's a song that everybody sings, I know. It's the same thing everybody says, I know. It's fun to talk about it on podcasts, sing about it in music, discuss it in meetings, listen to the news, and they tell you social media, but nobody is doing anything about it, including myself. And I feel like that reason alone, that you can't even stop it. You cannot. I know that I'm being affected by this epidemic. But I still go in there unknowingly. That's why I compared it to drugs. That's why I compared it to, everything else that's happening in the world. Because it's a natural occurrence. You don't see it coming. It just happens to just happen naturally. And the way I can speak for myself and say why it affects me is because it's a soft impact. It just comes to you. You wake up in the morning. I'm not even gonna tell you a story. I just pull my phone up. 6:30 is when my alarm goes off. Let me just look at, and social media can anything. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest. Text message is a form of social media because we're socializing on there, we're talking. Even a blog, it depends with the character and with the subject line in there that it will affect your mind. At 7 a.m. I'm still on my phone. Mind you, I'm on YouTube. And I'm watching I'm watching educational stuff, or maybe helpful stuff. It's maybe stuff like this. I'm actually watching spiritual messages, watching self-improvement videos, watching the hustle, positive hustle shows, but it's still consuming me. And the funny thing is, behind my mind, in the back of my mind, I'm telling myself, okay, you gotta get up. You gotta go. You gotta get up. You gotta go. You have a meeting. You have to do this. You have a business to run. You have to go to work. You have to call. Who is this? You do that. 8:15. I'm still on my phone. So, you know how time equates to capital. I mean, people in business know that. That's why there's that saying, time is money. It's exactly what it is. How much time are you willing to put up at the expense of that? The same thing you could do in an hour is the same thing. You could get the same results in an hour that you can get doing negatively or wasting time or anything. And time lost is never found. This time I'm using for this podcast to try to talk about the things that I'm going through or the things I'm observing, things I'm seeing. I'm not going to find that time. So I hope I'm using for the right reasons. And it's not only monetary reasons, just the right reasons that make sense for my time on earth. And with that said, I'll go in. I know that was a long introduction. I'll go into my topic for today, which is self-reflection. What is self-reflection? Let's see what Google says. It is a noun, and it's described as a meditation or serious thought about one's character, actions, and motives. I'll repeat that. Self-reflection is a noun, and the meaning here in Google says meditation or serious thought about one's character, actions, and motives. Which leads me to why I started off talking about the world, everything going on with hip-hop, the stuff that I like to listen to, music, everything going on with the young generation, everything going on with our own race. They call it black on black crime. Gosh, I hate that word, but it's true. And I can only speak for myself and what I live through and what I see and what I know. Of course, last but not least, I talk about social media. For me, self-reflection, I'm still struggling with that. But I can say I made a good point with it. Because the good thing about age, and it's not even just being old, you could be even 15 years old. Naturally, you are going to self-reflect on the things you're doing when you're 8 years old. For that reason, that's why you will see that as you get to those different ages, you start sometimes you almost, start demeaning or pushing back on the people who are that age who are doing things that, mind you did before when you were that age. But all you were doing is you seeing your past and you're self-reflecting, and everybody's different. You were just saying, and it's not always negative. That's the bad thing about it. I mean, that's the I can't say bad thing. That's the interesting thing about it. It's not always negative. You may have been the best student in your class in 8th grade, or in your vicinity, or in your environment. Smartest kid, most behaved, respectful. But it only took those 7 years for you to turn into somebody else. So you can be 8 years old, like I said, doing all these positive good things, you listen, because that's between I personally, I feel like right about up to 11 years old, you're at your innocent state. You're at your best times in your life because you are pure. At the most part, you're pure. You see things from an innocent, very honest mindset. That's why you always hear kids within those, with that age range, they just say things innocently. They just say things like they say, and you know what's funny? Us adults would tell them, "Oh, no, no, don't say that. You don't say that. That's not right." I'll give you an example. My cousin was visiting me the other day, and he would say things like to me, not in a bad vibe, not in a bad tone, but he would say things to me that I know, but I just don't tell myself. I don't self-reflect. I don't look in the mirror and remind myself. You say things like, "Hey, Melvin, I think you had a time." Oh no, he said this one thing to me about. I was giving him a hard time. I love my cousins and everything. I was giving him a hard time. We're in the living room, and I was, like you say, picking on him, and he said something about. Oh, I was picking on him about a game. I was thinking about it. Sorry. So I was picking on him. I was asking why he's been playing this game. He's been sitting there for hours. You need to take a shower. Just the usual kid thing. And then he gets up, puts his computer away, and joyfully says to me, "You know what, Melvin? You probably, since you think I need to, focus on going to take a shower and doing all this all the stuff, you discipline, you're telling me, maybe you need to focus on getting yourself into a relationship." Everybody laughed because it was funny, and I laughed too. Of course, I didn't take it any different. I didn't take it any wrong. Um, was he right? That do I have to be in a relationship? No, but what he was saying, as an adult, you're at an age where you were expected to be settled with a wife, maybe with kids, or at least there's no right time to do all these things. But it's just an example. And again, it's said that I have to do this in this age and time. I have to always clear myself. I am not victimizing myself. I'm not feeling bad for myself. I'm just explaining my self-reflecting and explaining what I feel like, why I feel like self-reflection is very important right now. So why was that comment from him important? Not because I should be in that situation. Everybody has a reason why they are where they are in life. But the important thing about that was that he indirectly opened up another topic that I've always known in my life, that I've always had in my life. That, we are living in a world that is very beautiful. You only do it all at once. You only have so much time to live. And see how everything connects. I got in talking about this episode. I started off talking about people dying, people shooting each other, social media, mental health, but it all connects. We live in a beautiful world, so we need to be taking advantage of it. Part of the reason why I am trying to work on my self-reflection is because when he made the comment, my cousin, about me being married and stuff, I realized the good thing about that comment, about him saying that, I don't have to stress about trying to be with somebody because that's what the world wants to see. You have to do things because that's what your heart desires. You have to do things that make you happy and smile on a daily basis. You have to do things that keep you motivated and inspired to get up every morning and greet everybody with a smile and say good morning, hi. Imagine a world in harmony where everybody's greeting each other. Everybody's less stressed, everybody's less depressed, everybody's just happy. Like we just walk in the streets and you meet 7 people. All of them are greeting you. They're smiling. They're just joking. They're giving you hugs. Imagine that. That would be crazy, right? But you need to imagine that. You need to keep that in your mind. I need to keep that in my mind, because indirectly things like this were the things that were slowing me down from, or are slowing me down from doing what I want to do, because I'm filling up my mind with these expectations that I want to please the world or please everybody else, or what everybody else expects of me, whereas that's not what Melvin expects of Melvin. So again, with self-reflection, that's part of the things that I'm been looking into now. Trying to make myself a better person to the society, not by pleasing them, but doing unto others just as others do unto me, as long as it's a positive, respectful way of doing things. When I self-reflect, I'm trying to improve myself as a person in different ways, in different areas. So my character, the way I treat other people. Because the thing about it is, we are all born by ourselves. We are all born alone. At the end of the day, when you go to sleep, you close your eyes. It's just you, yourself, and I was going to say I, but you, yourself, and nobody else. So your character, you know who you were, no matter who you were, what you do in this world, or where you come from, what it brings. You know who you were. There's just always this shield that makes you be somebody else. Suppose we live in a world that we're selling each other anywhere. We all sell people too. Our friends, our wives, our teachers, our bosses, our employees. We all selling each other. That's just the truth of it. But there's always a good way to sit back, calm, and think about it, and figure out how you can be a better person. Work on your character. I'm working on my character. Those are the three things, like the definition said: character, actions, and motives. I'm still in character. Might take a long time. So the way I'm tuning myself to change as a person is, I always remind myself, when I just feel like I went far, I say, hey, Melvin, character. Remember, stay in character. Tell myself that little brain in the back of your mind that always tells you the right thing, and that's the one you ignore almost 85% of the time, or maybe we put it up a little bit, 95% of the time. You always ignore that little voice in the back of your mind. In most cases, it's the honest voice, the utmost honest voice, the one that you don't want to do in most cases, especially in negative situations. You're in the middle of a difficult conversation with your friends, your spouse, whoever. And then you just start noticing a sense of defensiveness and pride, which most of us do, including myself. And your mind is trying to shield you from attack. But you bring your mind goal of getting better and just listening without justifying yourself, and then taking feedback. That's one thing I struggle with. And the thing that happens to people like me is that I grew up first of all doing things alone, doing things by myself. Not an excuse, not victimization. I grew up in boarding school. I was a lone child for a long time. Didn't really grow up with my parents like that. So all these different backgrounds, all these things will come to you, but I don't know it when it's happening. When I was young, I didn't know that's what's going on. I just thought And of course, there's other things that happen too. I played sports. I was a cool guy in school. Everybody loved me. I was playing that positive. And this is how funny it is. I'm known to be a nice guy. So everybody expects the niceness out of me. But again, when I'm doing my self reflection, people do not understand that I don't even think I'm doing enough as I should. I'm doing the same thing I was talking about, selling myself to everybody. That's just the truth. Am I nice? Of course, maybe I'm nice. Do I have a good heart? I do everything uh, with the from a good place. Of course, I went to school, I went to church. I did all that. I like I told you when I gave an example about. I told you, like I mentioned, when I gave an example about marijuana being such a big thing to me when I started smoking. I don't smoke anymore, by the way. Not that it's a bad thing. Anybody who does it, to each his own. We live in a beautiful world. You do what makes you happy as long as it doesn't hurt others or yourself in the process. Anyway, back to the story. So I went to church. I did it all and everything, so I can't even kill a fly. I've been around people who are, you know, vigorous, people who were mean, people who were, like call themselves gangsters. I've been around all those people, still kept my composure. I haven't been the guy to be in trouble, to get caught, doing all this stuff. No, that's not me. I know my character in that, essence. But when I self-reflect, I do know that there's this medium that people are seeing that they think I am. But it can be better. It can always be better. See, life is very fast and people do not see it until something bad happens, until something that slows them down happens. You don't realize how much you enjoy playing basketball. As a basketball in NBA, you don't realize how much you enjoy playing basketball until you tear your Achilles. Oh yeah, you think you have your passion, but you love it. It's your dream and everything. Even at that level, you don't realize how much you love it until something holds you back. And that's when all this stuff start happening. The mental disruptions start happening. The mental distractions stop happening. Now it takes that one person to be strong and listen to that voice in the back of their head. And I'm still working on that. Listening to that voice in the back of my head. Tell me, no, don't do it. It's a process. It takes one day at a time. So, like I said, I'm still on the character portion. So, once I get off the character part, I should move then to the actions. Oh man, the actions are hard. As nice as people say, sometimes, as nice as people think I am, as respectful, as good person that people think I am, it's the pride that stops my actions. And I'm not here to come out or anything like that, or come out as explaining that I'm a bad person or anything like that. It's just people understand things. I feel like, at least in my own opinion, my humble opinion, that people understand things when you actually open yourself out and tell them, and you explain what you are dealing with, just like any therapist would do. I have no education towards therapy or psychology or anything like that, other than what I learned in school. This is not my goal. I'm just coming out here naturally, talking about self-reflection and how I plan on moving forward and doing the best I can to be a better person. Not that I'm a better person, I just think one step at a time will help and slow down all this stuff that's going on in the world. Now, maybe social media might be a challenge for me. The reason why I mentioned social media earlier is because for me, it's what I see on there that reflects me or reflects hard on me or on my the way I act. I'm just scrolling down on Instagram. I'm seeing oh this girl she's posting this. I'll see this guy he's posting that. I'll see this and it's building that competitiveness in my mind. It's build that the jealousy that oh he's doing that, but I don't see it. I'm telling myself, oh no, I'm not a jealous person. Who tells themselves they're a jealous person or they're mean or anything? No, I'm telling myself I'm a good guy. I want everybody to win. I want everybody, but honestly, most people don't. Most people don't, because when you're looking at that on that scrolling through, we all showing for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, we all showing each other what we can do, what we have, especially monetary reasons, especially monetary wealth reasons. Indirectly, there's that person who comes in and shows you a stash of money. There's a person who comes you wearing designer clothes. There's a person who comes showing you how many businesses they own. There's a person who comes in and shows you how many girls they have. There's a person who comes and shows you how many cars they have. And then people are liking. I get on there. I'm looking. Innocently, I'm liking too. Oh, that's cool. But at the back of my mind, it's building depression. Why am I not that person? Why am I not that guy? How many guys do you think wish they were Travis Scott dating or have a kid with Kylie Jenner? How many guys do you think understand or don't understand why Kanye West went through the things that he went through after losing somebody like Kim Kardashian? It's more than just, it's love, it's affection, it's kids, but it's more than just that. It's a lot. That's how the mind works. It's a lot. The physical look, the place you go, the things, just the respect you get. I mean, the power in the people you surround yourself with, all that stuff. It's mind-boggling. Now I say this to say that we can all be a rapper. We can't all be Elon Musk. We can't all be Denzel Washington. We cannot all be Jake Paul. But the influence that they give us makes us question why we can be those people. And we might sit there, not like I say, not everybody says that. We might sit there and maybe say, nah, not me. I don't do that. That's you. That's on your own. Speak for yourself. And that's very true. That's fully respected. That's very true. But that's a good example of what self-reflection helps you understand and deal with things like that, because you become honest with yourself. You question the stuff that you don't want to talk about with yourself. You don't even have to be going around. You don't even have to do what I'm doing right here. This is just part of my growth. I figured if I can sit here and tell the world how I feel about everything going on, what my challenges are, it's a stage. Everything has a step. It's a step in my life of being a better person. The things I explained about the Kim Kardashians and stuff, we can say that's how I feel about it. Not when I'm looking at it, but eventually when I self-reflect later on in days, maybe I want to be those people. But I'm in denial that I don't. I don't sit there and cry, I want to be that. Maybe I do. But I ask myself, Maybe I am jealous of Travis Scott. Maybe I'm jealous of Future. Maybe it doesn't even have to be anything. But what causes that is just consuming that. Am I saying I shouldn't listen to his music? I should look? No, but I should, maybe me as a person, I need to step back and stop getting this algorithm control my mind, make me feel this way. And that's how a lot of people are feeling. They don't even be celebrities. That's just how a lot of people are feeling. That's why it makes people just act and react. The way drugs control a mind, the way anything that goes into your brains, like me reading a book, reading anything, that's all stimulation. It's just the impact on what it does to your brains is just different at a different rate. Almost like when you do drugs, when you drink or anything like that, you're just speeding the process. You're skipping the lines when you read a book. That's why you see when, like what they call them, terrorists or anybody who do, they read all these books and they start feeling, they keep going. It's a process. They keep pumping this information in their brains, and then they feel a certain way. Their mind goes a certain way, and they do what they do. Or if they're brainwashed, they look up to somebody. This person is pumping all this speech information to them, telling them this, how this thing is bad, this is that, this and that. And it's very hard to get away from that. It's very hard to dodge those things. It's very hard. But I feel like self-reflection is a very good step to start from. It will enable you to move from just experiencing into understanding things. It would encourage a level of self-awareness, self-consciousness, especially about practice on how you could, improve yourself. Enables you to identify areas of improvement and areas where you were strong and areas where you were weak. So my goal today was to come and discuss the importance of self-reflection, using myself as an example of what I go through on a day-to-day basis. I didn't go into detail, of course. There's a lot. Self-consciousness, expectations, entitlement. We all possess all this stuff because we are humans at the end of the day. We are humans at the end of the day. Some people just show it, others don't. Some people just leave it, others just ignore it. Not to guilt anybody, but I'll wrap this up by saying this was a conversation about me. Everything I talked about, every example that I gave, every situation that I might have said has to do with me as an individual. And I will use this opportunity to self-reflect and become a better person. How will I do this? Through character, through action, and through motive. I will make it a point to make sure I lead by example. We only, like I said earlier, we only have so much time to live on this world. Go out there, have fun, enjoy, do everything that you want to do that makes you happy, because you don't want to wait till the time you say, I could have, I should have, if I was. You don't want to do that. I'm not even halfway through life, and I've had my times when I feel that way. So that's why now I'm loosening up. I want a $600 camera. I'm going to get it. I want a $55,000 lens on a $600 camera. I'll get it. I want to go to Bermuda. I'm going to go there. If you want that hot lady in your lives, go out. Try to talk to her. Just loosen up. Enjoy life while you can. Don't get stuck in your own thoughts. You are responsible for everything you do as a human being. You are responsible. You get angry, or, okay, like I said, we'll track back. I get angry or affected by things that I feel like others should be doing because I would have done it that way. No. That's not how life is. In most cases, when people talk or suggest things, they suggest the things that they would have done, how they would have done it. So I'll wrap it up here and say that was my conversation about self-reflection. And I will practice that. I'm not perfect, nowhere near close to it, but that's my conversation of the week, word of the week, statement of the week, positive note of the week, and I'll keep up to it. As we always say here, as such is life. It is always better to accept reality or any external misfortune, as life is always unpredictable and the results are not always in our hands. Enjoy your life. Self-reflect when you can. Don't depress. Don't stress. Take your time. Think about your actions. We need each other. Let's stop killing each other physically, emotionally, virtually, and of course, let's just enjoy ourselves. Such is life.